Welcome to the Keep Dreaming podcast, the show where adversity meets purpose and purpose gives birth to your destiny, but more importantly, your dreams. I'm your host, Charleston Girley, so grab your coffee and let's dive in. Well, good morning. I want to thank you all for tapping back in with me on the Keep Dreaming podcast. We're getting to the end of the season. We only got one more episode until the finale, and so I'm excited for today's episode. I put a lot of thought into today. I want us really working towards our dream, being able to really make them happen. And so I spent some time with God, and I was just kind of asking him just kind of what did he want me to talk about? What did he want me to pour into you all on today? And so the reality is that everybody wants the dream, but not everyone can handle the weight of the dream. Now, we've kind of talked about, the timestamp in which it takes for the dream to come into existence, but I'm not talking about that weight. I'm talking about weight as it relates to heaviness. Not everybody can handle the heaviness of the dream. The dream is free. It's easy to dream. It's easy to imagine. You can do that all day, every day. But the responsibility of it is heavy. And so the question isn't just can you dream it, but it's can you carry it? Because every dream is going to come with a burden, responsibility, and a weight that you'll have to be strong enough to bear. And so we're going to jump into our coffee segment. But before we do that, I just want to give you the title of today's episode, episode 11, and it's The Weight of the Dream. And so for coffee today, I wanted to do something flavorful, but something powerful. And so I got a mocha double shot latte. The mocha part for the flavor, but the double shot is something heavy. I wanted something strong as I get ready to talk to you all on today. I got to really deliver this message for you. And so it hits different than a regular cup of coffee, just like your dream. And so a small vision is light. When you are imagining something, it's light. But remember, we talked about we're going to God for those big dreams. And so those big dreams, they are heavy. They come with a lot of weight that we may not even anticipate or really even understand. And so it demands more from you. It stretches you. And it requires strength that you really didn't know that you had. And so let's do our coffee segment. Cheers. If you got your cup, your water, your tea, whatever it is that you got on today, let's cheers. And let's get into today's episode. So starting off today's episode, I want to go back and I want us to reflect over a movie. It's a movie that I like, and it's a movie that I feel like has a really great message as it relates to today's episode. And so the title of the movie is The Pursuit of Happiness. I know I've seen it several times, and I'm pretty sure some of my viewers have had the opportunity to watch it, but it stars a very famous actor, Will Smith. But in the movie, he plays a character by the name of Chris Gardner. So in that movie, Chris Gardner is a homeless man. He's broke. He is a single father trying to raise a son. But through all of that, he has this big vision. He has this dream of having a career in finance. And so that's the vision, that's the dream. But he didn't realize the heaviness of it. And so he was carrying both the weight of the dream, but he was also carrying the responsibility to be a father, trying to provide food, trying to make money, all of these different things. And so nevertheless, despite all that he was carrying, the weight didn't make him quit. Rather, it refined him, and his breakthrough was sweeter because of what he carried. He had to carry it all through the movie. And if you watch the movie, he's actually running around with this computer. And so he was carrying this weight, carrying this dream, and it was heavy. He had moments where he broke down, but he never stopped. And so that weight, it actually refined him and changed him and made him a better man, a better father, and ultimately the dream came into fruition. And so even when I think back over my own life, and I think about all the different seasons that I went through. Remember, I talked about dark seasons. I talked about lung collapse. I talked about scholarships being pulled. But probably the heaviest season that I ever had to go through was when I was this close on the verge of filing bankruptcy. And so I had got into real estate. That was my dream. And God blessed me early on to have early success. And so I didn't really understand what that meant. I thought that, I would just take off and just ride this wave on out. Nevertheless, I had to go through a pit. And so when I made that $100,000, I talked about how I quickly lost it because I didn't have good money management skills. And so God was teaching me a lesson through that trial. Nevertheless, when I was going through that trial, I didn't make up the $100,000 instantly. Rather, I was this close to having to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And so during this time, I'm looking up what it means to file bankruptcy. I'm crying. I'm talking to God. I done borrowed money from people that I can't pay back. I'm behind on bills. It got so bad that I was afraid to even go to the mailbox because I knew what was in the mailbox. It was going to be late notices, people calling to collect on the debt that I owed. And so it was a very dark season. And I'm carrying this weight. I'm carrying this dream that I once had. And I'm crying out to God, God, how could this happen? I have this responsibility. I got to get up every day. I got to feed myself. And I didn't feel like doing anything. I just want to give the dream back because it was so heavy. I didn't want it anymore. I found myself with my back against the wall. I found myself just in my apartment, all the lights off, contemplating if I want to drink my sorrows away because the weight was so heavy. The weight was unbearable. And so through that process, I learned that the dream isn't sustained by money alone. It takes wisdom. I had to sit with God through that, and He gave me wisdom on how to maneuver out of that season. And thankfully, I didn't have to file for bankruptcy. But then it also renewed my faith. I had to believe that if God led me to this, He would lead me through it. And then I had to exercise perseverance. And so the weight wasn't meant to kill me, but it was meant to build me. And so when we think about Bible stories, there's a beautiful Bible story that I want us to reflect on. And it's Moses. It's when Moses is leading the Israelites out of Egypt. The Israelites were in bondage, and God commanded Moses. He gave Moses the vision. He gave Moses the weight. He gave Moses the dream to deliver the Israelites out of Egypt. But the weight of the assignment nearly broke him. And so in Numbers chapter 11, verse 14, Moses actually cries out to God. And he tells God, I cannot carry all these people by myself. The burden is too heavy for me. Now, the beautiful thing that I like about this is Moses was honest and he went straight to the source. Sometimes you got to go straight to the source. When I was thinking about having to file bankruptcy, I had to go to God. I had to go to the source, the person that gave me the dream, the person that gave me the vision, and I had to cry out. Sometimes you can't allow pride to get in the way of being able to cry out, being able to seek help when your back is against the wall. But the dream, it wasn't like that Moses had. It meant dealing with the people's complaints, dealing with their rebellion, their hunger, all of these different things. And Moses, he didn't just carry his own faith in this season, but he actually carried the faith of an entire nation. But see, here's the key. When Moses admitted that the weight was heavy, God made a way. And so in Numbers chapter 11, verses 16 through 17, God told him, he said, appoint 70 elders so that the spirit that's resting on you will also rest on them. And so God basically ended up sharing the weight. But the lesson, carrying the dream doesn't mean carrying it alone. Sometimes God will assign people to help you, just as he gave Moses, Aaron, Hur, Joshua, and the elders. The dream is still yours, but the weight is shared so that you don't collapse under it. What good does it do if you collapse under the pressure? What good does it do if you fall and you can't get back up? We talked about if you're going to take this dream, if you're going to take this risk, you got to be able to get back up again. And so there are 3 applications that I want us to focus on when we're talking about the weight of the dream. Maybe you're in a season where you can't see it and it's heavy. Maybe the burden of it is heavy and you're trying to make it through. I'm telling you, you can carry it, but you got to really focus on 3 things. So the first, you got to strengthen your shoulders. You got to broaden your shoulders. And what that means is that you got to build habits, you got to be disciplined, and your prayer life has to be strong. I think that's the key in all of this. Your prayer life, it can't be average. It can't be minimal. It has to be at its maximum capacity because the enemy is lurking. Your flesh is lurking. Society is lurking. All of these different things are lurking. Jealousy is lurking. Haters are lurking. And so you got to be able to withstand all of it, and your prayer life has to be strong. Number 2, don't carry it alone. Moses needed Aaron and Hur to hold his arms up. And so you may need a team, mentors, accountability. You're going to need people to be able to help you to carry the weight. And then number 3, you got to trust God's grace for the weight. The dream, it may be heavy, but God's strength makes it possible. I'm going to say that again. The dream may be heavy, but it's God's strength that makes it possible. If you get a chance, there's a sermon. And there's a sermon on YouTube by Sarah Jake Roberts, and it's called Shifting the Weight. And in that sermon, it's a beautiful setup in how she portrays when you are going through a season, when you're carrying this dream, when you are carrying this vision that God is giving you, sometimes you may have to shift the weight. And that doesn't mean that we're giving up the weight, because there'll still be portions that you have to carry, but it may be a sense, it may be a season, it may be a moment where you have to shift the weight. But the other thing that I want to point out is that sometimes you got to speak over yourself. If God gave you that heavy of a dream, it also means he believes that much in you. And if he believes that much in you, you ought to yourself to have that same belief within yourself. Shun not the struggle, face it. Tis God's gifts. When I faced the bankruptcy after receiving the $100,000, the weight, it almost crushed me. But not because the dream was wrong. The dream wasn't wrong, but because I had yet learned how to shift the weight. I was trying to carry everything by myself. I was trying to bounce back from it all. I was trying to make all the money back. I was trying to do everything by myself. And I had to learn that I needed to shift the weight. And so shifting the weight means giving God what was never yours to carry in the first place. You see, it was never meant for you to carry every single thing. Sometimes we're dragging this big bag as if all of it was for us to carry, and it's not. It means surrendering the stress, the fear, the shame, and the burden of proving yourself. How many times do we find ourselves in a situation where we're trying to prove something to others? That's weight. We're stressing about it. That's weight. We have fear. That's weight. And then you pile all of it on, and now we're carrying stuff that was never meant for us to carry. We're not meant to carry fear. God is not giving us the spirit of fear, but of power. We're not meant to carry stress. We're not meant to carry jealousy or proving something to others. And so admitting to God that this dream is too big for me, but it's not too big for you. The dream might be too big for me, but it's not too big for God. And so one of the scriptures I want us to focus on is Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30, where it says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Go get that rest. Go get that rest from God. Go get that restoration so that you can keep going. Because again, we said we can't stop. Whether we got to crawl, whether we got to walk, whether we got to jog, we've made it too far in this journey that we cannot stop. We've gone through the darkness. We've taken our risks. We've asked God for this big dream. Now we got to make it through the wait. And so sometimes you may even have to return that dream to God. One of the hardest but most freeing things that you can do as a dreamer is to return the dream back to God. Sometimes we hold on to our vision so tightly that we forget who gave it to us in the first place. We're holding on to it. We're idolizing it. And it was never meant for us to idolize. When you surrender the dream back to God, you're basically saying, God, I trust you with the weight. If you led me to it, you'll see me through it. If you brought this to me, I know that you have an avenue. I can't see the avenue right now, so I'm going to give this back to you. I don't know what to do with this. I'm going to give this back to you. I can't handle this right now. I need you to give it to me in a different way, in a different season. I'm going to give this back to you. What it's doing is showing humbleness to God. It's letting pride go. It's letting ego go. It might not be the season for you. It might be another season God is trying to show you. And so it's not letting go of the dream, but it's placing it in the hands of the one who gave it to you. Just like Abraham placed Isaac on the altar, God may test your willingness to trust him with your dream. And just as he provided the ram for Abraham, he will provide one for you too. And so this week, as we're working towards the end, and this is a very powerful episode that we got to work through, the weight of it all, I want you to get back out your journals, and I want you to write down what part of the dream feels the heaviest right now. Is it finances? Is it discipline? Is it doubt? Is it relationships? I need you to write that down. And then I need you to write one action step that you can help or use to take strength for yourself in this area. Finally, I need you to pray over it. Prayer is going to be access. It's communication with God. It's being vulnerable, being able to not only access communication to him, but to receive it from him as well. And then just ask him for grace so that you can carry it. Ask God to send somebody along your way, to send a word, to send something that can help you carry the weight this week. And so as we wrap up this episode, I want us to remember the dream is free. It's easy to dream. It's easy to imagine. It's easy to talk about it. But when you actually start to do, the weight is heavy. And so if you're going to carry something God's size, you're going to need God's strength. So don't despise the heaviness. It's proof that what you're carrying is significant. And remember, you're not carrying it alone. Greater is he that's within you than he's that's within the world. And so as you reflect over this week, as you keep going over this week, I want you to know you're right where you're supposed to be. You're right there. Heaven on earth is you becoming the best version of yourself that God called you to be. Hell is if you refuse to become that version. And so if you're in it, if you're carrying it, you got to see it through. You might have to pause, you might have to shift the weight, but we're not going to stop, and we're definitely not going to retreat. We're on episode 11. We made it too far in the season. If I got to carry you to the end, I'm going to do that. But it's going to be the belief within yourself. It's going to be your prayer life. And it's going to be how much do you trust God where you're at right now. You are meant to do something great with your life. Your family is dependent on you. Your legacy is dependent on you. Your ancestors are dependent on you. You yourself is dependent on you. So you can't give up. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. And the weight is heavy. I've had plenty of seasons where the weight is heavy. But like we always said, the sun must come up. And so you got to keep pushing. You got to keep going. And so if you feel like this episode really spoke to you, I want you to share it with somebody. I want you to go on my YouTube, go on my podcast, share, like, subscribe, do all the necessary things because somebody else needs to hear this, not just you. This is a message not just for the people that are listening, but it needs to be shared because there are other people struggling. There are other people going through exactly what you're going through, and we are meant to help other people. And so I thank y'all for tuning in for episode 11. I'll see y'all back next week for the last episode. Be blessed and always keep dreaming.